truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Hanson Sia. Dennis, I want to say thank you and thanks to our many listeners across the globe who have joined us in yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. This one is strictly analysis on the topic that we are tired, suffering, ready. Folks, welcome, and let us do this as quickly as we can. In Liberia, there's one thing we all agreed on, that the nation is going through hell economically. Even folks in the government agree that Liberia is going through serious challenges. Finding food on a daily basis for those who live there, especially those who don't have jobs, those who only rely on daily hustle, are finding it so difficult. And I was talking to Focus on Liberia reporter on the ground, Theo Williams. He had gone to one of the restaurants to find something to eat. And I believe it was a lapabido. And those of you who don't know what lapabido is a coded language for the cheapest restaurant where you can get more to eat. And I remember when I was in Liberia, I live in the borough of Ninkru Town. My favorite lapabido center was in Kuwe, followed down Douala. At that time, it was about $20-25. And then your lapabido will be loaded with beans. And I remember those days, that was my favorite center. And when I needed, that energy to get myself energized to continue my daily hustle, I would go to the lapabido center. And $25 was the price. And I would be good for the rest of the day. And times have actually changed now. And in today's Liberia, when maybe we should be thinking that Liberia will be better now, things will be much more better now, what we're seeing is that things continue to increase. The hardship continue to increase. And so even in Ellen Johnson's early administration, some people felt that things were just bad. And so they voted for a changed government. And during Ellen's time, a couple of rice, as I remember, at some point was $20-25. During Charles Taylor time was, $10, around that, price. So things have been going up. Liberians have been, changing one government after the other, hoping for a change, a better living condition. In today's Liberia, lapabido has jumped from 20, 25 to 200, and now we are talking $400. So just as I was trying to tell you, my reporter Theo Williams was at the lapabido center, and I was asking, how much are you spending to get something sufficient to eat? Well, he said, boss man, sometimes it have to be $300. And the gentleman in the background said, no, Theo, it's $400. But that is not what we are here for. We are here to talk about whether or not it is necessary, given the economic realities on the ground, given the economic pains the people of Liberia are experiencing, given the fact that it's more than likely nothing works in Liberia. It's given the fact that the people of Liberia are going through trying and crunching economic times. What do they do about their situation? Others argue they should wait for election and protest through the ballot box and ask for a change of government. Others are saying, no, we have one government at a time. We have this one now, at least for now. This one that was elected on the basis of change, on the mantra of change. They wanted to better the conditions of the Liberian people. They wanted to give them a better life, a life that would be affordable for them. Unfortunately, instead of basic prices coming down in Liberia, basic prices, have skyrocketed. Or the prices of basic commodities on the Liberian market completely gone in the roof, thereby making it difficult for those who work to even sustain themselves, before talking about those who don't work and rely on a daily hustle, one that I relied on many years ago. But my $25 could not let me down with Lapabido. In today's Liberia, a Lapabido is $400. Now, when you come to talk about transportation, during my trying times in Liberia, many days I walk, and many of you can relate to this, and you have experienced that as well. Because finally, even $10 and $25 to get on that bus or taxi was tough for those who had no job. How much more in today's Liberia that people are spending $100, $500 in some instances, depending on the distance, before you can get yourself to the next destination. And so, folks, we explain this to say the conditions that our people going through are so serious. Now, when you talk about health, finding daily meals is a challenge for even those that work and even those who do businesses. How much more about those who don't work? So we can all agree, no one in this government will tell you that times are not hard. Even the mayor of Monrovia, Jefferson Koji, the newly elected Secretary General of the Congress for Democratic Change today, my focus on Liberia, carried the broadcast in the borough of Ninkrutan, my hometown. He admitted that indeed people are suffering in Liberia. So there's no debate. So what do we do? What should the people do? What should leaders do when the conditions of the people have gotten so severe? Opposition has a responsibility in any nation, just as an elected government has a responsibility. It is the responsibility of the elected government to better the conditions of the people, to improve their living and material conditions. And that is the social contract. And the government must be responsible. The government must be able to use the taxpayers' money to improve their lives, to provide them basic services so that they can live happily in their country. It is the government responsibility to make sure that prices are affordable for the poor. That is their responsibility. And that the government should be transparent. And that the government decisions, action and inactions should not be to punish the people in their already destitution, but to alleviate, to minimize, and make life much more better for them. Is that the case in this Liberia? The answer is obvious. Why are we saying the answer is obvious? We have a government in power that has priorities not in the right places. Civil servants have not been paid, but we know of a president who has traveled for 48 days, spending millions on that trip. Millions either in Liberian dollars or in United States dollars. And I believe it's in millions. That is why they will not even tell us. Civil servants have not been paid. One protest after the other for salary arrears all across Liberia, thereby increasing the everyday suffering and challenges in the country. From one rice shortage to shortage of gasoline. You listen to the music. School fees gone high. People are escaping from hospitals. And there was this story that this young man or this person decided to escape and jump from JFK out of the fourth or second or third floor. And that person reportedly died. You know how true that story is. People are taking extreme measures, because they are challenged beyond their own control. Parents cannot afford tuition for their children. They are even finding it difficult to find food for them. And while that happens, we have officials of government who are on one mission and one mission only: to amass wealth at the detriment, at the displeasure, and the satisfaction of the people who elected them for the sole reason to improve their lives. And so the issues are serious. So indeed, the Liberian people are suffering. And the question is, are they actually tired of suffering? And I answer to say, is there anyone who is not tired of suffering? Is there anyone who is not tired of pain? Is there anyone who is not tired of agony? Is there anyone who is tired or who is not tired of being frustrated? The Liberian people are tired of being tired, that they are suffering in their own country, that they have become refugees. And the least the government could do is to be sensitive to their plights and their conditions and take steps to address the concerns and frustrations and suffering. And yet the government remains insensitive. And this is being headed, is being captained by the president of the republic, who takes a 48-day trip when the people have not been paid, and he's sleeping in hotels. He gets 2,000 United States dollars to eat every day and goes with a large delegation, and he's enjoying himself, clapping for another nation, celebrating his son, while those who elected him sons are selling cold water in the streets. Why those who elected his sons and daughters are not in school? Why those who elected his children have become zogos and nothing significant has been done about it? He took their money to celebrate his son and clap for another nation. And this is how he demonstrates love for them. That is insulting of their conditions. And so to the question, are the Liberian people tired of suffering? Yes, they are tired of being suffering. Yes, they are. So the CPP is organizing, planning, and to execute a We Are Tired Suffering rally on the 17th of December. I explained to you the responsibility of the government. Let me also explain to you the responsibility of the opposition. The opposition responsibility to hold the government feet to the fire, to hold the government accountable, to ensure that the government fulfill its promises to the Liberian people. It is the opposition responsibility to make the government to know that you have a role in the democracy in this country, to better the lives of our people, to be sensitive to their needs, to their conditions, to ensure that they become the priority in this country because they elected you for their own well-being and not for you to amass wealth. It is the responsibility of the opposition. The opposition should be the mirror of the government. The opposition should be the one to remind the government of its responsibility and promises to the people. Has our opposition been to the task? The opposition should be an advocate for the people. The opposition should be able to educate the people about the government responsibilities. Many of us have said, and many of us have heard over and over, that the opposition is weak. How did we come to that point? One reason I share with you. Because many have observed the opposition had not been up to the task of championing the pains and the frustration of the people. They have not been elevating the conditions of the people. They have not been the advocate of the people. They have not been able to hold the government feet to the fire on its promises through actions, political actions that will suggest that they are aware that the people's life must be improved and not been improved. And so if they want to be the one to replace the government, they should at least know what the people are going through. And not only that, communicate that to the people, identify with the people, work along with the people, express the frustrations of the people in ways that are within the confines of the law. And that if they do champion what the people are feeling, their frustrations, then of course that opposition is the opposition it needs to be. But over the time, we've heard speeches, and I believe speeches from the opposition have been nothing but cold water speeches that don't really project the suffering of the people. When people are in agony, they look up to somebody who will stand up for them, who will speak for them fearlessly and boldly, and who will stand in the gap for them. There are others who can speak. There are others who are not brave. Somebody must do that. Somebody must wake up the consciousness of the government and its attacks. It is the opposition, the civil. You were talking about the civil service, civil servants. All right, the civil society, to put it right. Sorry, the civil society organizations should be able to play their roles in a society. And again, I correct myself to say the civil society organizations should play their roles in addition to the opposition. But I must also remind you, citizens themselves have a greater responsibility. They have greater responsibility. They should know their rights. They should know their roles in a democracy. You elect and you hold accountable. You don't want to elect and turn your back. So to get to the crux of this analysis, many are saying, what is this rally for? What is the purpose of the rally? First of all, the name of the rally is We Are Tired of Suffering Rally. Are the Liberian people tired of suffering? Of course, yes. What is the purpose of the rally? According to the organizers, the CPP is saying they want to give the Liberian people the opportunity to express themselves, to speak to their government about the conditions that they are going through, and to talk about how the government is not doing enough, and that the government is insensitive, and that the government does not care. They want to talk about how the government will say, well, we will investigate this, and no investigation will come to a logical conclusion. We heard about an investigation to be conducted in several millions of Liberian dollars confiscated at the airport. It's yet to come to a logical conclusion. We heard about three missing boys. Nothing has come to a logical conclusion. One corruption report and case after the other. Nothing has come to a logical conclusion. They are saying it is the people's time. It is the people's time to speak to their government about all of these issues and many other issues that they are facing in the country. Now, there's a debate here, folks. The debate is this message that we are tired suffering is right. It is true. But the messenger is not appropriate. This is not a right messenger. So the person who spoke on behalf of the CPP is Louis Brown, Ambassador Louis Brown. I love good speakers, people who speak to move people. Louis Brown is one of those. He's a gifted and forceful communicator. He's good at that. Like you're not. He has it. And I'm a fan of such people. That doesn't mean I don't disagree with them when they are wrong. Oh, yes, I do. The point here is people are saying this message is true. But the messenger, in other words, the people are saying, yes, it is the right of the people to assemble and register their dissent, their disagreement, their dissatisfaction, their displeasure with the government they elected. But the one from whom the message is coming is the wrong person. That is the part I want to analyze. And that is the debatable side, folks. So let me pull it this way. Let me give you a scenario. Or may I ask this question first of all? Does the messenger of a message matter? More so if the message is the right message. And if the message has the propensity to prevent, to save, to correct, does it actually matter that the messenger is, say, a comrade Jesus? For we will not have a comrade Jesus to come to you. His second coming, we all are aware. And I like what the good book said, that surely the Lord God Almighty will do nothing except through his servants. If God is to speak to us, he will speak through somebody. So if this person is not Jesus, will you know the message? Should the messenger matter? Does the messenger matter? Or is it the message that matters? So, folks, if a message that is intended to save you, to prevent you from a disaster, to prevent a nation from collapse, to prevent a nation from plunging into unrest or, say, chaos, should the messenger of that message intended with the propensity to save, to prevent that nation, a group of people, from something dangerous to their well-being, should that messenger matter, or is it the message that should matter? More so when the message is true. I know a guy called Saul, and he became Paul. Did it matter that comrade Saul, who became Paul, became a messenger of the good message of Jesus Christ? Oh, he has changed. So now he became the right messenger. Maybe I shouldn't go biblical, for that is not my area. People are saying Louis Brown, of all people, we have just come from a heartless war that took away thousands, the manner in which many of them were killed, and Brown was associated with Charles Taylor, a guy I always refer to as the monarch of the First Order. Mr. Brown is on record for saying the MPFL was a blessing. There's a newspaper article going around. I just hope he's being quoted correctly. But if he were quoted correctly, and I also listening to Louis Brown for saying there was so much good in what took place. He's talking about the Civil War. So this is the Louis Brown who spoke about the human suffering, who agreed that the killings that were done by all fighting forces, those killings were unnecessary, were uncalled for, that those were crimes. And that very Louis Brown, when we came to an elected government of Charles Taylor, he was one such person. After we have experienced a massive human suffering, who built a house that rose eyebrows in Monrovia, similar to what President Weah has done in about a year of his presidency. Did Louis Brown now know that Liberians were suffering under Taylor? Did he not know Liberians were not taking pay? Did he not know that Liberians have just experienced the most brutal human suffering of all? And he chose to build a house, and we don't know of any accountability from where he got the money. And this is the Louis Brown today on Team Cummings on a CPP want to lecture us about we are tired of suffering. Was the suffering under Charles Taylor, the suffering our people experienced, we all experienced as a country during the wars and after the wars under Charles Taylor? Was that suffering not suffering too? Weren't Liberian people already tired of suffering at the time when he built that house? Was the building of the house not a demonstration of insensitivity, something he speaks about eloquently during the press conference? And so Liberians are saying, Louis Brown is not the right person for the messenger. Oh, no, folks, I'm tired of dancing around the subject. I like to juice things up and give you a background. And then we come to the analysis. Folks, I tell you this much. If we don't build a country on the truth, while many of you do, you are selective of the truth, you are quiet on the truth, you don't point at the truth because the truth is against your guy or he's in your party, this nation, Liberia, will not go anywhere. And that is what we don't do here at Focus on Liberia. Your love for a man or anybody buries the truth in you, and that is sad on your part. But for those of you who do that, the truth will always set you free, the good book says. And that is what I believe in. Even if the truth against me, I will take it and swallow it, for the truth is good. So they are saying Louis Brown is not the right messenger for this message that is truthful. Yes, the people are suffering, but a Louis Brown to deliver such a message on the subject of suffering, because his example is contradictory to this very truth. So he should not have been the one to deliver the message. That is another part of the debate and the analysis that I'm providing. On the other side, you heard me, and I think I did well. Maybe brilliantly, right? to talk about the messenger. The messenger also here is the CPP. Louis Brown just delivered this message on the CPP's behalf. Do you want to see Louis Brown? Or do you see the CPP? So let's say you see the CPP. Is the CPP as we know it a better messenger here? What do you think? Is the CPP as a political institution a better messenger? So let's remove Louis Brown. Maybe based on my analysis, he's not the right messenger. But he is acting on behalf of his institution. So I ask the question, folks. Let's do the analysis together here. Is the CPP the right messenger? If the CPP is not the right messenger, what makes the CPP to not be the right messenger? What is the history of the CPP? Who are the folks that make up the CPP? Folks, you know them. Louis Brown is a member of the CPP. Daniel Che is not a member of the CPP. In fact, they are on T. Cummings. Cummings has the CPP. Cummings is a member of the CPP. Alosha To is a member of the CPP. And let me say this so quickly. Alosha To, Councillor To, he fought Taylor. When Louis Brown was on Taylor's train, and these two guys have come together now, what's going on with Aloysius here? Is the goal of replacing President Weah what we're supposed to focus on and nothing else should matter here? So let us look at the CPP, whether or not it's a good messenger. In order to know whether the institution, the CPP, is a good messenger, the CPP is not a piece of paper. The CPP is a conglomeration of individuals. So we cannot see the CPP as the vague institution with the name and register and that. People make institution. Institutions not the building. Institutions not the document that is signed. Humans, characters make an institution. So again, I ask the question, is the CPP as an institution a body of individuals? Does that institution CPP make a good messenger of this message we are tired of suffering? And I think many of you might be thinking that if you are, and the thing is, it depends on who you talk to here quickly. If you are, say, a CPP member, you will say, yes, the CPP is the right messenger. The CPP is not stealing government people money. The CPP is not suffering the Liberian people. The CPP is just an opposition that is trying to speak on behalf of the people. When you talk to folks in the CPP, that is what they're going to tell you. Who's responsible for the Liberian people suffering today? They will say that the government. They will say that's President Weah. They will say that CDC, that is the government in power. So that makes the CPP the right messenger as an institution, because it is not responsible for the suffering of the Liberian people. As a political institution, it continues to advocate, to speak for the people. It continues to point out what is wrong in our society. So it makes the CPP a good messenger. But that is your cookie. The significant point we have to look at here, though, it is the fact that when the message is intended for safety, for prevention, to avoid something bad, should it matter who brings the message? Now that we have broken down the issue of the messenger. So let's say your horse is on fire and you have fallen asleep so deep. And there is this criminal who stole from your house. Apparently, he was coming back to steal again. For he got to know that you were far asleep. And just by the time he got there with that intention of stealing your generator or something of value, your house is on fire. And he realizes you are in deep sleep. And your house is in flames. And there's no one nearby to tell you the danger that is right at your doorstep. So you're the only messenger you have to deliver this message of safety. This message is coming from the criminal who you don't like because of what he's done to you. Will you take that message from that criminal and save your life so that you can remain alive to continue to provide life or living for your family? Maybe you're the only breadwinner in that family. And maybe everybody left the house except for you, who the family relies on. And here you are in this danger, far asleep, and no messenger is around except for this criminal who stole from you. Will you dismiss him and died and leave your family stranded for many years, and maybe see your son not in school, and that you are not a father anymore, and that your children will go fatherless, and your wife will become a widow? Will you dismiss the message because the messenger is wrong, even though the message will save you? Will you do that? Don't get me wrong. There are times, in some instances, that yes, it matters that the messenger be the right messenger. But equally so, there are times, folks, in life when the messenger should not matter. For what will save you is not the messenger, but the message that will save you. In fact, one can argue the fact that that messenger not being the right messenger, and he delivers that messenger indirectly is saving your life. Because if he had not seen the danger to communicate with you the danger that is at your doorstep, you will go to the grave beyond. And so, folks, let me come to the politics of it all. Having done the analysis, let me come to the politics. That is the part that you like. In a democracy like ours, our Constitution guarantees the right of citizens to assemble and peacefully. That is what they are doing. Whatever you think they are, whether you think they are not the right messengers, our Constitution gives every citizen the right, in as much as they remain within the confines of the law, to gather, to assemble, and protest peacefully. It is within their right constitutionally to do so. So we can go back and forth of whether or not the messenger is right. That messenger is a citizen who has the right, until by law that person is being denied the right to do so because of certain maybe felonious crimes in the country. Then that person should enjoy that right to assemble, to rally, and to peacefully protest, because we must respect our laws. And so, yes, they have the right. Whether or not you think they are the right messengers, they have the right, and we should give them their right. For folks, the denier of people's right to free expression, to exercise their democratic rights, contributed to the conflict of the past. And we cannot afford as a people to repeat any such mistake. Every citizen must be given a right, in as much as their rights are not being curtailed by the law, by the constitution, or by our courts, they should continue to exercise such rights as citizens. That is the right thing to do. Now, another part I like is in politics, when you speak, politics is this art, this craft, especially when it comes to, electoral politics. When campaign is coming around, you win election with people, and what you do is to engage the people, to speak to their frustration, to identify with their pains, and move them in your direction. When people are at despair, or when they are in despair, they are looking for who can talk for them, who can identify with them, who can direct them in the right direction. It calls for leadership as well. And political leadership, especially when it comes to election politics, as a political actor, you rely on the people. And the way you engage them, the way you move them, the way you speak to them, the way you speak about their concerns and issues and frustration, the way you hold who they see as being responsible for their suffering accountable, that will drive them on your side. And if you speak to their concerns and pains so eloquently, and if they feel or sense their frustration through your delivery, through your speeches, through your actions, and then they will come on your side. Spare me this idea that protests bring war, protests bring chaos. I don't believe that. Look, peace cannot be obtained on silver platter. The democracy that we enjoy today, many bled, many suffered, many went to prison, and you are enjoying it today. When we have it now to peacefully protest, and you are telling me you can't do that? For the past years, Liberians have been protesting. Liberia has not gone to war. Many nations have protested. Those nations have not gone to war. So spare me that meaningless explanation that protest is going to bring war. People protest in marriages. People protest in homes. People protest at schools. Protest is a necessary effort or measure to register a dissent, to register dissatisfaction to the authority that is responsible to address any sort of dissatisfaction or concern. That is the right thing to do. To say Adoleba is not taking responsibility for your own life, for your own condition. And citizens of a country should be conscious of their rights and should take responsibility. Leaders in our country, be it in government or in opposition, should take responsibility to hold our institution of government accountable when it is not in the interest of the people, when it is not leading in the interest of the people, when it betrays, when that institution of government betrays the cause of the people. Leaders should act. And that is what I think these political leaders are trying to do. And let me talk about the delivery of Louis Brown. I think Louis Brown was loud, and that loudness was in place because the conditions the people are going through is so loud. I think Louis Brown was frustrated, and the frustration was in place, and it was needed because when you are delivering a message that speaks to the frustration of the people, that frustration should be within the message. You can't be so intellectual, you can't be so eloquent, you can't be so diplomatic about the suffering of people. I think he delivered well. People needed to sense and feel and see the frustration that the Liberian people are going through in the delivery. I don't let people giving cold water speeches. Maybe that is why when I'm doing my presentation I hear, because the conditions in Liberia are serious. A child wakes up in the morning and has no meal and goes to school with no recess and comes by, and mama is staying in the market and that child is hungry. I remember many days I won't eat anything from 6 a.m. to sometimes 6 p.m. That was not something small. And you want somebody like me who experienced this thing to talk about it as though it is a play thing, as we say in Liberia? Serious issues require serious tones, or a serious issue requires the right tone. A serious condition requires a serious messenger. And I think he did it well. So let us listen a little bit to Louis Brown speaking.
Agencies responsible to stop drug peddling are in fact facilitating drug peddling in our country. You open up our country to drug trafficking. We tire suffering. It's for all.
So let me pause it there. You open our country to drug peddling. It was only with the help of the Americans, 100 United States dollars. I mean, that's 100 million, sorry, 100 million United States dollars. Drugs of cocaine arrested in Liberia. If the Americans have not helped us, we would not have arrested that huge quantity of cocaine in Liberia. $100 million worth of drugs in that country. And you know we have Zogos in the country that hook up on the drugs already. Where has the investigation gone? Maybe they own it. Maybe it will be one of those that will not come to a logical conclusion. Did you see any anger from the government? Are the Zogos being rehabilitated? What we see is during campaign time, the CDC gave them several thousands of Liberian dollars, 5,000, 6,000 for them to go vote for the CDC. That has been their effort. Of recent, we heard about, I think, $50 or $20 million or $10 million. I don't remember the exact figure. They said the place into the budget or set aside to rehabilitate the Zogos. It's been 5 years now. Why the future leaders of our country, Liberia, have been put on hold. President we have completed his 47 condominiums. He released about 4 singles. His movie theater is all set. His music recording studio is all set. He flies a private jet. Do you know how much the cost of private jet? Do you know how much it costs to fly a private jet? Do you know how much for jet fuel? The Zogos are still waiting to be rehabilitated. The president rehabilitated himself on day one. When he took over, he got around $250,000 to renovate the very office Ellen Johnson Sally used. And of course, we are told he's a pro-poor president. Pro-poor my foot. So Louis Brown was right to channel
all those young people, pen riders, keke riders, walking through communities. And that is all that they have. That is all that they have.
So Louis Brown is right. The young people in the street. Father, cold water here. Donut here. Girls who should be in school, they are not in school. Whether or not Louis Brown in charge till the government did not stop that, that is true. And that is why others are saying he's not the right messenger yet. He has been in the room. What did he say? What did he do? Did he speak like that when he was in government? When these very things were happening? So I get it. And people who say that they have the right to say so. We have this government now. Should we continue? Should this message not go forth? Because Louis Brown did not do it yesterday, he did not speak yesterday. The governments that he worked in did not do it, so it should not be done. We should continue on this trajectory of babies selling in the streets, because I can't call them young people, selling cold water when they should be in school. Our school should be in shambles. Our teachers should not be paid. Should we continue on the trajectory?
Government make mockery of them. Your son may be playing for another country, but these other young Liberians have dreams. You're killing their dreams. You're giving them no chance, no hope.
Is President we are in the CDC killing the dreams of young Liberians today? I believe so. I give you one typical example in the area of football. President Weah has gone to celebrate his son because his son is realizing his dream. Timothy Weah is realizing his dream because leaders of America, the country America, invested in Timothy Weah. America invested in its national team and qualified it for the World Cup so that Timothy Weah will realize that dream. And when you are a father, whatever you don't accomplish, you want your son to accomplish it. That is why President Weah is a prayer father today and spending our money to cheer his son in another country that invested in his son. Is he invested in the sons of Liberia as the father of Liberia? Of course not. Lone Star can't even qualify for African Cup, at least to talk about the World Cup. It feels good that Timothy is playing the World Cup. Liberia, as a country, our leaders are killing the dreams of young people. No one should speak diplomatically about that, because that is the future of the country you are putting at stake when you play with things like that. So Louis Brown needed to speak to the seriousness of this issue with the tone that he's using. And I will try my best to speak to the seriousness of the issue with the seriousness that it requires. The whole justification about saying 1847, we have not done it, and now we'll do it. Rwanda is doing it. Many other nations are doing it. When are we ever going to get our act together? But I got message for these CPP folks that will be closing with. You don't want to hear that. We will tell the truth here.
Dog Roxy lives in New York, and you're missing it. Not even good to come and live here.
So even Louis Brown is saying, President Weah dog, Roxy, he keeps his dog in America. President Weah dog is not even good to come to Liberia to live. Politics. I think this is a kind of politics that speaks to people's hearts and minds. I love this thing. Because when a nation gets it right, the nation makes progress. Rwanda got it right. Its leaders, I would think, have gotten it right. That's why it's making progress. The Arabs, and using Qatar as an example, Qatar many years back was like Liberia, struggling. Leaders didn't know what to do. But today they got their act together. And it's nothing else but leadership. Men and women knowing who they are, understanding their conditions, and doing something about it, using their resources, putting their priorities right. That is why that tiny nation has brought the whole world. The next World Cup will be hosted by 3 countries, 3 powerful countries, more powerful than Qatar, that the United States of America, the richest and most powerful country in the world, is not hosting the World Cup by itself alone. It joins Mexico. Mexico is another economic powerhouse in South America. All right. And then if you talk about what's it, Canada? Canada is another impressive economic power. These are the 3 countries that will be hosting the World Cup. But this World Cup 2022, which is the most expensive World Cup, $220 billion spent by Qatar. Qatar alone is hosting the World Cup. What does that tell you? So if a tiny country can get it right, just with leadership and putting their priorities right, do you not think we are humans too and we have 5 senses? We just have to accept that things are bad and our leaders are not doing good. And we got to find what is good for our country. And leaders should find the money and make the necessary investment. But are they doing it? They are not doing it. And so, folks, this idea that the messenger is not right, sometimes if we wait for the right messenger, we may not get there. All we need most is the right message. We need the right message. For Liberia has become this society now that even when we get the right messenger, we dismiss the right messengers. We always dismiss these right messengers. Look in our society today. I will speak to you. I will speak to your minds and hearts here. Look in our society today. Look at media platforms today. Look at the ones that bring substantive discussion to you. How many people following them? Look at people who are talking about fries and gossip on Facebook, who go in people's personal lives, who insult and denigrate others, who shame our country and who shame us as a people with the way they conduct themselves on social media. These are the people Liberians in their thousand watch. The people who are your right messenger, you're never listening to them. So spare me with your right messenger thing here. All we need most is the right message. If Liberians were people who cared about right messenger, you would not have elected Taylor. You would not have elected Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You would not have elected Prince Johnson to be senator of Nima County. A man who slaughtered a president on cameras. You would not have elected him. You don't care about the right messengers. So spare me in that argument. Let's have this debate. Let's have this discussion. Folks, don't run away. Share the show. Let us talk here. You care about right messenger in this country? Do you care about the right messenger in your community? How many decent Liberians do you know? And you listen to and you follow? Today in Liberia, people celebrate Edwin Snow. And Edwin Snow is another leader in your country that ought to celebrate. Some people go to Prince Johnson Church. Is he the right messenger for the gospel? As we speak, some people follow Nathaniel Mange. Is he the right messenger for Liberia? Is he the right person to be your senator in your country? You want to talk about right messenger? Let us talk it. Let's talk about it. In Liberia today, and I like the example, and I will speak to the example boldly. Tiawon Gonglo is an excellent Liberian who has impressive record. You hear about Tiawon, the men are good men, but the men will not win. You despise good people in your community. You despise good people in your country. You don't support good people. You don't support good platforms. You follow the noise. You follow fries and G's, and you want to talk about a right messenger. So I'm not sure this country is at a place where it cares about the right messenger. The last time I checked, we had Tipote. He ran several times. Tipote, I respect him. All Liberians know that Tipote was an outstanding statesman who wanted to be president of his country. They never and ever elected him because he was a good man, because he was the right messenger. His message had aligned with his values, but they never elected him. They chose an Ellen Johnson Sirleaf who contributed to a war that destroyed that country. So spare me this argument about right messenger. You are not there yet. So let us speak to the right message. Is this the right message for the Liberian people? Of course, yes, this is the right message. It is the right of Liberian to assemble, to register their displeasure, their dissatisfaction about the conditions that they are going through. And it is within their right to do so. And it is constitutional. They should be given the right to do so.
And you're the president of our country. We're tired of suffering. We're tired of suffering is a chance to say to President.
So, folks, we are tired of suffering. We are tired of the lie going off our airport. We are tired of planes turning around, risking the life of the Liberian people. We are tired of incompetent people who have no clue of being our leaders in our country. We are tired of it all. And so I am not in this place about the right messenger. We can have that debate if Liberians are ready for the right messengers. You have heard about the right messenger, you didn't listen to them. You have seen the right people, you don't care about them. And sometimes you think, oh, they think they all that. You follow noise makers. These are the people you care about. You follow celebrities. We're not going to get anywhere with that.
And their life just remain wasteful. Agencies responsible to stop drug peddling are in fact facilitating drug peddling in our country. You open up our country to drug trafficking. We're tired of suffering.
And so finally, I will close with this here, folks.
Based on the letter, invoice number 506, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Samuel Kayando Sports Complex. The signature on the invoice is dated November 23. Name, collaborating political parties. Address, 19th Street, Singapore. I'm sure you know the address. Are you ready? City, Monrovia, Liberia. Date, November 23, 2023. Quantity and description. Quantity 1, cost for outside space rental at SKD for 1 day, US $1,000. They were trying to make it so hard they thought we would not be able to pay the line. One, cost of sanitation for outside space. I don't know what kind of sanitation they get outside. They say we must pay for it. At SKD for 1 day at US $750. Yes. One, cost for 25 staff workers. And we agree because we know we're going to be. Compensation for 1 day, US dollar $1,250. They think they can pay it for 1 day, we agree. One, even though we also had to pay breakage fees. I don't know that the quota will come in. Breakage fee, they say refundable.
So, what I want us to talk about in this clip, the organizers of this rally wrote the government and asked for a place to use, and the place they requested is the outside of the Samuel Kayando Sport Complex. And the government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, charged them $1,000 to use the outside space. And then they asked that they also pay $750 because they want they talk about breakage fee. Let me play that again. I didn't capture that right. Sorry. Sorry. Let's play that again, folks. Bear with me here.
Quantity and description. Quantity 1. Cost for outside space rental at SKD for 1 day. US $1,000. They were trying to make it so hard they thought we would not be able to pay. They lied. One, cost of sanitation for outside space. I don't know what kind of sanitation they get outside. They say we must pay for it. At SKD for 1 day at US $750. One, cost for 25 staff workers. And we agree because we know the going to be. Compensation for 1 day, US dollar $1,250. The thing even pay good at for 1 day, we agree. One, even though we also had to pay breakage fees. I know that the quota will come in. Breakage fee, they say refundable.
All right, folks, I think you heard it there. So the government is asking the CPP for the outside space of the Samarkando Sport Complex to pay $1,000. Then they're asking for sanitation fees, the government, sanitation, 750 United States dollars. And they are also saying, the government is saying, well, we will assign 25 staff to clean the place. And for that, the government is asking for 1,250 so that after the rally, they will clean the place. And then the government is also asking for breakage fee so that even though they're using outside, if they break anything outside, maybe the ground or the cotard, so that it can be paid. But the government is saying that is even refundable. So according to Louis Brown, they pay almost all the money. I think they only owe them $1,000 left. The total amount should be about $3,500 if my math is right. I'm terrible with math. But folks, I will have to conclude with this piece that you might hear. For some time now in our nation, we see politicians come to our people. They criticize those in charge and they ask the people to vote for them because they will give the people the change. This is very important and you must hear this. I have no doubt that that is the only thing and only thing our politicians have been successful with. Impressing our people that they will do better than those in charge and that they should be given the opportunity to serve our people and better their lives. That is the only thing that they have been so successful with over and over. Because I'm not strong with history, I would not go far back. Taylor, a failure. He killed people just because he wanted power. When he got that power, he continued to kill people. He was not paying people. He was brutalizing the people, abusing the people, very insensitive to their plight. And the Charles Taylor party, they had this motto, above all else, the people. Can you believe that? Charles Taylor. Above all else, the people. That was and still the motto of MPP. After they have subjected our people with horror and violence and killings of all sorts, our people Somehow, I will argue on their behalf to say because they wanted peace. And their conclusion was the only way they could get that peace was to have elected the one with the bigger guns, Charles Taylor, who kept them running all around the country for years. They needed to give him that power for them to get the peace that they wanted. So they traded the peace that they had desired to a ruthless, bloodthirsty human being, because for them the peace was necessary and that they needed it for their survival, because they wanted their children to go to school. That was the decision the people make. Yet that Taylor, who was given an unthinkable and unimaginable opportunity. I mean, who would have ever imagined that a group of people will elect somebody who subjected them to tyranny, horror, violence, and killing of all sorts? Who would have imagined they would elect such a man, such a group of people to lead them? How can anybody in their right mind make any such decision? But that is what the Liberian people did, because peace was paramount. And so they know the messenger, who was Taylor, for peace. That which they needed was more than anything else. Yet that Taylor punished the people again with the guns in his possession. He was telling them above all as the people. When Louis Bryan and others transformed the MPFF to a political party, yet the people were not above all else. It was above all else the top brass of the MPFL, which includes Mr. Brown. We are fearless when we speak truth, for the truth will set us free, for the truth which gave of justice. And so I'm saying to you, fellow Liberians, only thing our political leaders have been so good at and so successful is to cajole our people with rhetorics, speak to their anger and their frustration, and our people will give them the blessing of leading them. And the next thing you know, it will be all about themselves. That is why we saw Honor Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. We are prepared for this debate. Ellen, of all people, who masterminded a bloody civil war and contributed to it, something she has refused to apologize for, will come to power, will not be conscious of the greatest opportunity given him by our countrymen and women. Even the executive mansion she has said should be burned down to the ground and that will be rebuilt. She could not complete refurbishing the executive mansion. That is a monumental failure of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She did good things. I'm not here to speak for her. I'm not her messenger. I advocate for Liberia and I advocate for Liberians. I point out the failures of leaders because failures hurt nations. Good things don't hurt nations. Good things exalt nations. I don't want to be your messenger to preach good things. You were elected to do good things, so when you do the good things, so what? That's why you were elected. That's what you say you are going to do. If I told a Jew I love you, if I kiss the Jew, should that matter? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? To kiss the Jew, since I said I love the Jew? So I'm kissing a Jew. The Jew should not be shouting praises on me. She was passing. I came with my lecture. Let me leave that story alone before I get in trouble with my boss here. So, folks, our leaders are only good at cajoling our people when it comes to the work that they need to do to better the country, to improve the country. The result or they settle only for occupying offices and titles. Honorable minister, honorable director. Oh, the director is coming. Mr. Minister, how you doing? They have serious responsibility. Who stops a minister, let's say a police director, from chasing criminals and uprooting ghettos in Liberia? Who stops a police director from doing that? No one stops that police director. No one. But that police director does not have the slightest understanding that ghettos in the country where young people who are featured leaders are assembling every day and taking drugs, you are killing the future of the country. You don't have a police director with that consciousness to go to work. You don't have that one. He enjoys the title police director. And he even takes bribes for people who get to ghettos to build his house and send his child to school. And he's okay. He does not care about the next man child. He does not care about the future of the country. Our leaders are all like that. All of them. That's how they've been. This CPP that is telling us today that they are better. They were the George Weah of CDC yesterday. Hope for change. The masses party. Yeah, they are. They are the one riding the big cars. They are the one traveling on taxpayers' expense for 48 days. They are the one enjoying free hotels when they do nothing for the people. This president is flying private jet today. This is the man who say he has a heart for the people. The people were in the ring for him. They elected him today. It's the same thing. Do these leaders have bold ideas and plan to transform Liberia? CDC never had a plan to transform Liberia. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf never had the courage to fight corruption. She admitted that she did lose the war on corruption. Her sons were in government when they should not have been. She even justified that they were qualified. Who does that? After she criticized Turbo of nepotism, she came and she doubled down. That's all they do. The CPP now is held by Cummings. I want to see their bold ideas. Louis Brown is in the picture again. What is Louis Brown's ideas to transform Liberia other than giving emotional speeches to rally the people against the government just to get in power? Give them power today. If you don't see more of the same, you will see worse of the same because they don't plan. They don't have ideologies that they can stand by, that you can't take from them. They are not conscious to the point of standing for what is right and fighting for what is right. One who have taught George Weah will fight corruption. I don't know. I mean, maybe I never thought that, to be honest, right? Because the brother, he has nothing in him that resembles leadership. So those who say they are disappointed today, I don't know what planet they were on when they felt that George Weah could be anything. But he was given the opportunity to do so. Why would this man not fight corruption to an end? He's telling, oh, I have my children to protect now. Oh, seriously? So these people have organized this rally, which is their right. The reasons for the rally are right, justified, and I encourage them to do the rally. But I ask the question, after the rally, what next? Would they be the only rally? We want to see their bold plans, man. We want to see their bold ideas. We're tired of politicians succeeding to cajole our people, get to power, and then that's the time they start scratching their heads what to do. Louis Brown served as Minister of Information during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. According to the act that created the Ministry of Information, it said Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. Liberia is uniquely situated for tourism. Under Louis Brown's watch as Minister of information. Liberia did not raise a penny in tourism. Is he thinking about that? He probably only thinking how to get Joshua out of power. He's forceful, and I like that. He speaks profoundly, and I like that. He speaks with the right tone, and I like that. But what I like more is a leader who comes with bold ideas and will stand up for what is right and not what is right for his stomach. That is all we're saying over and over again. So you can do all the rallies you want to do. Can you stand for Liberia once? We have people today who are ministers. They just enjoy the titles. They are rushing when the next summit will come for them to go to one other country and be in hotels on the largesse of the Liberian people. This is a government that sends some ambassadors to, I think it's South Korea, and they got in a place that representing the country Liberia. They started deciding to do things with young girls, and now today they are in jail. They have disgraced our country. That has been the behavior of our brothers and sisters when they gave them opportunity for them to work their butt off, for them to make their country better. They will not do it. We just want to be ministers, honorable ministers. The same thing goes to those who call the senators and representatives. The president is bribing them, and they are taking the bribes. It's like they are being pulled by the president, the executive branch of government, when they are the first branch of government that represent the people who should be able to do for the people. They are not doing it. Nobody can fire them. At least if that the people who they say serve at the will and pleasure of the president doing that, somehow I will understand. But you've been elected by your people to speak for them, advocate for them, hold, appointed officials accountable. They have confirmed all the misfits in government. The government is now completely dysfunctional, and then they are looking around and think that Joshua is the only one who is responsible for that here. That is all they do. So here they come again, folks. I will have to leave you and go push my cartoon. I'm not here to say I'm better. I'm not better. I'm just saying, let's be truthful to ourselves. Let the truth be told. Let our leaders take their responsibility serious. They shouldn't be angry because they are not in government and the government in power is doing the wrong thing. Some of them who yelling today when they were in power, they didn't do the right thing. Some of them didn't even speak. So for them to be so loud today, thinking that now that they have had a share of failures when they serve in government, you think when they're coming back, they will do better? They will not. There are some people that serve in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government that in the government, they remain the same. The same thing. Honorable title fills their whole brain. They get their strike card, they get free car, they travel, they build their homes. That's it. That's it. You have a serious duty to your nation. And you're not working. You just go and sit in office, some of them go to work so late, and then they forced to leave. And then at the end of the month, they expect to get paid. And they think they are serving the country. I have to go. Thank you for watching. This is Focus on Liberia. We do not economize with the truth. We bring the truth to you in a robust manner. It is not our responsibility to pay your roles. It is our role as a media institution to conscientize you and provide the necessary education so that you see it for yourself and for yourself and for yourself, just in case you feel the need to know and to take action. That is what we do. We are just a medium for the exchange of ideas and education and conscientization of the society. For a conscientized society is a better society. It's an informed society and tends to make better decisions for its own well-being. I hope my yelling did not disturb you and that my message was able to resonate with you. It is not enough to rally. What is more enough is to come with bold ideas. And that is what we need from these leaders. Because we have so many governments in the past. We are still where we are. And the obvious reason is because when those leaders come to power, all they care about is the title, the money, the travel, the purse of the jobs that they occupy. The Arabs were like this. Everybody want to go to Dubai now. They too were in this position we found ourselves. Rwanda was in a position we found ourselves. Ghana was in a position we found ourselves. The United States were in a position we found ourselves. Qatar is doing well now. Everybody wants to go to Dubai. Everybody wants to go to Qatar now. They got it together. It took leadership. It took people understanding that they were tired of being tired of suffering. And so they did something about it. So why I agree with the name of this rally, that we are tired of suffering, that we are tired of suffering must be translated into bold ideas by leaders who are ideologically ready to fight for what is right for Liberia. But time and again, it has all been rhetorics to come to power to do more of the same or worse of the same. Sorry and sorry. I thought to do it like this. The song says we are all Liberians is taking us home. I appreciate your comments and I will read them later on. I'm angry for my Liberia. I'm saddened that our leaders are joking in our land. I'm sorry that we have our brothers and sisters who have become so sycophantic against the interests of the state just because they want to belong to a man or a party. It's a disservice to our country. It kills my spirit and I hate it. And I needed to speak in a way I thought best. Thank you. The song says we are all Liberians and that son is taking us home. I'm reading no comments. I am not taking calls. Bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Either you hate it or we want. Liberia. Either you hate it or we want. Liberia. Family, we choose